raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
You may have a seat and put yourself right up to that mic. All set.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, miss.
Good morning.
State your name and spell your last name.
Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Fitzsimmons.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
Excuse me. Do you mind just pulling that mic
Yes.
a little bit closer just so that we can hear you?
Is that better?
And I didn't hear your last answer. You're how
I'm
old?
29 years old.
29. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
And what's the town of your residence?
Currently, Newburyport.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Methuen,
Methuen?
Massachusetts.
And did you live there your whole life?
Most of it, yes.
Did you go to high school there?
I did.
And where did you go?
Methuen High School,
When did you graduate?
2015.
And you lived there with your parents and your family?
Yeah, I lived with my mom and my dad. There were 2 different houses.
Tell the judge a little bit about your upbringing and your family and who's who.
So I have my mom, my dad, my mom Lauren, my dad Stephen, my older brother, my biological older brother Stephen Jr., and then I have my stepfather, William Page, his 2 kids that I consider my brother and sister, Madison and William.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the names.
My younger brother and sister are Madison and William.
Madison and William. Did you say that they were step-siblings?
They are step, yes.
Okay. Try to keep your voice up.
Okay,
Just
sorry.
Use the mic,
Okay.
kind of like I am, a little bit like that.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Kelsey. So, you guys are a close family, right?
Yes.
And they've been with you through this process the whole time, right?
The whole time.
When did you graduate high school?
2015.
Did you go to college?
I did.
And where did you get your degree from?
I got my degree from Fisher College. I got my Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice.
What year was that?
2020.
What were some of the awards and distinctions you received at Fisher College?
I think my junior year, I was inducted into the Criminal Justice Honor Society. In my senior year, I was voted in as the president of the Criminal Justice Club, and I just worked closely with campus police there and the advisor of the Criminal Justice Club.
Did you work while you were in college?
I did.
Where'd you work?
I worked for the college as a work study, and I also worked as like a host/waitress down the street at a restaurant called Cheers.
Did you do any security work?
Yeah, in 2016, I was hired by Fenway Park Security, and I believe I worked there in 2017. And like throughout all of Fisher College, I worked for campus police as a work study, like a dorm proctor, checking IDs of students.
Okay. After graduating Fisher College, you had the B. Is it a BA or a BS?
Yes.
BS in criminal justice.
Yes.
And what was your kind of goal for your life and your career with that degree?
When I graduated, it was the peak of COVID, so everything got a little confusing on what my next steps were. My plan originally was to try to go straight to a police academy, but when I graduated, there was no police academies running, so I decided to, because I love school, I decided to further my education and go to law school.
Where did you go, and tell us about law school a little bit.
I went to Massachusetts School of Law. I did about 3 semesters, and then some academies started to run again.
And did that change your pathway?
It did.
What happened?
The Essex County Sheriff's Department started doing Sheriff's Department academies again. So I applied to be a corrections officer, and that was in 2020. And I went through their academy in 2021.
Where's that academy?
Their academy is at the Northern Essex Community College in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
And what was the course of study? Just in general, what did it entail and how long was it?
It was 3 months. It had to do with just the training of being a corrections officer. Our whole job was safety and security of the inmates that were housed in the jail. So it went a lot into safety and security.
So you spent 3 months at the Sheriff's Academy,
Yes,
and you were hired by the Essex County Sheriff?
I was, yes.
When was that roughly?
That was in 2021. I think it was September of 2021.
What was your kind of original first assignment when you got to the Sheriff's Department? How did you start there?
I worked in housing. I was assigned to housing the whole time I worked there.
Did you have any other jobs while you were at the Essex Sheriff?
When you pick up a overtime shift there, they kind of just throw you in where somebody's needed. So I did a lot of different jobs just through all the overtime I worked, which included transportation of inmates to and from court. I would work in programs. They have church and school for the inmates that reside there. And there's outer perimeter security where you drive a cruiser around the perimeter of the jail to ensure no one's coming in or out. I did things like that on my overtimes.
Okay, and in terms of the transport, you were actually the person that kind of comes to here to court, goes in the lockup, delivers prisoners, picks up prisoners, brings them back?
Yes.
How long were you at the Essex Sheriff?
About 2 years.
What, and at that point you had a career path decision, right? A
Yes.
different decision.
I did.
And what was that decision?
I always knew I wanted to be a police officer.
And was there some opportunities that came up in that respect?
Yes, while I was working for the Sheriff's Department, I had moved to North Andover. I really liked the town I lived in, and I wanted to work in it as a police officer.
So what did you do?
I applied to the North Andover Police Department.
Did you interview with Lieutenant Daly, was it?
I did. He was on a panel interview. They call it like an oral board. It included Lieutenant Daly and several other members of the North Andover Police Department.
And I take it that you're not going to get hired there unless they approve you.
Yes.
And that happened, and you were hired?
Yeah, they do an extensive hire check.
Background check and so
Yeah,
forth?
like there's a lot that goes with it.
What you would expect in terms of a police officer getting hired.
Yes.
What's the first step when you get hired as a police officer? What do you do next?
You have to go to the police academy for 6 months.
So you've been through a 3-month Essex Sheriff Police Academy, training academy, and now you're about to start a 6-month North Andover Police Academy training, right?
Yes.
And where did that training take place?
That also took place down the hall at Northern Essex Community College in Haverhill.
And you spent 6 months going to that?
6 months, yes.
Was that, is that something where you like stayed there the whole time, or did you come and go? Did you commute? How does that work?
I commuted. I got there in the morning, left sometime in the evening, and we had weekends off, so it was 5 days a week.
Okay. When did you graduate from there?
I graduated in May of 2024.
And did you run for any positions within the academy that they have in your class?
Yes, while I was in the police academy, I ran for treasurer, and I became the treasurer of my class.
And what does that entail?
That entails everything financial through our academy. I would collect, we had like academy dues, I would collect them, and we would purchase things that we wanted, such as like sweatshirts and sweatpants to wear for our PT days as well as an academy sweatshirt. I also planned our graduation party, so I had to book it, collect the funds for it, and plan it, essentially.
And is it a situation where there's different classes going on at once, like class of 2020, class of 2021, like that?
Yeah.
Right. And you were the class of 20?
Well, my class was called Rock 5, so I don't know how the numbers go, but the one before me was 4 and the one after me was 6. I was Rock 5, ROC 5.
All right. And when did ROC 5 graduate?
May of 2024.
And you graduated with the class?
I did.
And what was your first assignment with the North Andover PD?
You first go to patrol on FTO, and FTO is meaning you're with a field training officer, so you ride with somebody in the same cruiser for a period of time.
And, who were your field training officers?
So I had several, because you do different shifts. I had field training on day shift. My field training officer was Officer Tierney. I had field training on the 4 to midnight shift, and my field training officers were Officer Furman, now Detective Furman, and Officer Sousa.
The entire time you were there, were there any other FTOs that you had, just to kind of list them all off?
I think there's multiple officers there that are FTO trained, but those were the ones that were assigned to me to train me.
So you were, I'm sorry.
No. Can you just,
Oh, yeah.
that thing over there?
Thank you. So, Ms. Fitzsimmons, in your employ at the North Andover PD, you assumed the job of a regular patrol officer at some point, I take it?
Yes, I was a patrol officer.
And after you finish with field training officers, do they have some sort of a say in how you function in the field and report back to the administration or the supervisors about how you're functioning?
Yeah, so the supervisor on your shift, your field training officer gives them, I think it's a weekly report of how I did on calls and what calls we went on together and how I performed, stuff like that. And eventually, I don't know exactly how many weeks I was on field training, but after it's complete, the sergeant will take you in his cruiser and you drive his cruiser and respond to calls or make traffic stops, and then he decides if you are signed off on. And I was signed off, and that day I got my own cruiser.
And when was that, if you remember, just roughly?
I think it was in end of June or early July of 2024.
And just a few things I want to just tick off on the list of things a police officer does. Did you serve restraining orders?
I have before.
Have you testified in court?
I have.
And you've made arrests?
I have.
Now, at the time, moving over to your personal life, at some point you met someone named Justin Elaine, right?
Yes.
And what was your experience with Justin Elaine in a nutshell?
My experience in a
Yeah,
nutshell, we met through Facebook. We went on a few dates. We ended up hitting it off. While I was in the academy, we were dating. He is a North Andover firefighter. At my police graduation, he pinned me, and then I would see him on calls sometimes, and we eventually moved in with each other. We got engaged. We had a baby.
And what was the baby's name? What's the baby's name?
My son's name is Caden.
How old is he today?
He's 13 months.
And Justin Elaine is the father?
He is.
what happened on June 30th of 2025?
On June 30th of 2025, I woke up in the morning.
Let me be more specific, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Did he take any actions relative to you in terms of your relationship that day?
Yes.
And what did he do?
He obtained a restraining order against me.
Is it fair to say that he broke up with you via a restraining order?
Yes. I did not speak to him. I realized our relationship was over when a restraining order was handed to me.
Okay. So let's rewind to the events of that day, okay?
Okay.
So that morning, were you home?
I was.
Who was home?
So my sister slept over the night previous, so June 29th to June 30th. So she was over in the morning.
Maddie?
That's Madison, yes. I was with my son. I had work at 1 p.m. I had to go to CPR training at 1 p.m.
Okay. Now, had you been out of work for a while?
I was, yes.
All right. And when did you first go out of work?
I worked up until I gave birth. Caden came 5 weeks early, so I wasn't expecting it, so I went out basically the day I gave birth to him.
And his birthday is what?
February 16th, 2025.
Now, when you were seeking to go back to work, did you get cleared to go back to work in June of 2025?
Yes.
Did that entail going through certain trainings and getting reviewed and stuff?
I did.
What was the event on the 30th that you had to do to finish that off?
I had CPR training at 1 p.m. on the 30th, scheduled.
Was that your last thing you had to kind of go through?
That was it. Yep.
Were you seeking to see Justin Elaine that day?
Yes, we had spoken through text and on the phone in the morning. I was asking if he would come home because he hadn't been home in days to be with Caden while I went to work, and his response basically was, I can pick him up and watch him. And I said, you're not a babysitter. So there was a bit of argument about that. You're
Text argument.
Yeah, it was like, you're his dad, you're not a babysitter, you can come home. I don't understand picking him up and watching him. That was very odd for me to hear as his father.
Moms don't like when dads say they're going to babysit their own kid, right?
Yes, like you're your dad.
And at some point, just to kind of cut to the chase on that, you made a plan to meet up in North Andover?
Yeah, there was a lot of texting back and forth. He originally said yes, and then he said no, and then he said, I'll meet you tomorrow. And I said, you have work tomorrow? That doesn't make any sense. He worked a 24-hour overnight shift, so.
Was there something about gas money as well?
Yeah, he said that he couldn't drive from Stowe, Massachusetts to North Andover because he had no gas in his truck. And I just was trying to get him to meet me. I'm like, we need to figure this out. I go to work in a couple hours. Like, we need to figure this out. He called me while I was driving to work and said, I'm on my way to North Andover.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Let me just rewind you a little bit.
All right.
So there's some texting about this, right?
Yes.
And the texting that you have and that's been kind of passed around in the case, it doesn't end up with, okay, I'll come and meet you at the North Andover Common, right?
No.
So was that arrangement made outside of those texts?
Yes, like
Alright.
looking back now, I think it was strategic, but
All right, well, just, I don't want to keep, I don't want to.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to ask for your opinion
Okay,
on it. I
sorry.
just want to, factually, I'd like to ask you, were there a couple calls back and forth that kind of
Yes.
set that up once and for all?
Yes, he called me on my way to work. I decided I'm gonna bring my son with me, which wasn't a big deal, but when I was on my way, he calls
Well,
me.
hold on a second, just to be, yeah,
Excuse me, I just need to confer with our court staff. Mr. Ring, can you turn the